Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the webinar this evening with David Orban and Justin Clark about comparing the blockchain revolution with the internet revolution. It's great to see so many people online. And before I introduce the panelists tonight, I wanted to just give everyone a little bit of a view of who's on the webinar tonight, who's here, who's listening in. Are you similar to them or are you different? So when we sign people up on the webinar, we ask a few questions. And so I decided tonight just to put up this information. So as we can see tonight, most people are calling themselves novices or having a basic understanding of blockchain. And most people, 48% of people, in fact, don't even own Bitcoin. And 33% have some altcoins, with only 19% of people having ever participated in a token sale. And tonight you can see from the map there where our participants are from in the world. So we're gonna start this evening just with introduction of both David and Justin. Of course, David is doing a webinar series this month, and joining him this week is Justin, who is a board member at Migrate and has run internet companies since the late 90s. But I'll let them introduce themselves. Just before I do that, I just want to make double sure that everybody is seeing my screen. Justin and David, can you see the screen?
That's correct. We can see your shared screen with the image that is now not covering the rest of your screen, whatever it is there.
Got you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So yeah, if we just start with an introduction. David, perhaps if you can just start giving a background, especially with regards to the fact that you've gone through sort of the internet revolution and moving forward. If you can give us a background of yourself, and then we'll move over to Justin.
My name is David Orban. I'm an investor in Wealth Migrate, and I'm very much looking forward to its next phase of growth. Before becoming a venture capital investor, I was a high technology entrepreneur. I've started in artificial intelligence 34 years ago, and has created, built, and grown and failed and closed companies both in Europe and in the US. And yes, as you mentioned, I was around when the commercial internet started at the beginning of the 90s, as well as I was around when Bitcoin started in 2010 and onwards. So that is why we thought we could draw the analogies and try to dissect what the similarities and the differences are between the two periods of time.
Great, thanks so much, David. And Justin, yourself?
Kevin, yes, guys, hi there, Justin Clark. Many of you that are from South Africa would probably know of the website that we started in the 90s, private property, online property portal that effectively dislodged the newspaper classifieds advertising. So yeah, I think what is super interesting is I'm talking about the 90s here, and both David and myself lived through that period, and the whole crypto experience is very much the same, and I think that's what we're going to investigate later on tonight. Just back onto my history, and I think what is quite relevant to Wealth Migrate is that we started classifieds businesses and invested in classifieds businesses across Africa. a really tough space to play in the technology game. And I've recently exited there, but we built in 10 odd countries, significantly the biggest classifieds operation in Africa. And so I think we've learned a lot about launching new businesses in areas that the internet didn't really have traction, and the effect that the similarity that'll have with what's going to happen with the blockchain.
Great, thanks so much, Justin. So the way we're going to run tonight is tonight's going to be a Q&A session with Justin and David, and I'm going to be asking the questions, and I'll then hand it over to the two of you to give your views and give a better understanding around the similarities and the differences between what we've seen in the past and what we're seeing now, because as we all know, you definitely can learn from what's happened in the past, and often things do repeat themselves. And so so we'll go into the first question. As we usually do with all of our webinars, we really like to be interactive, and so there is the questions box. I see we do have people already who are posting some questions, so please do post questions, and so that we can keep this interactive. And if there are any issues, please also make those known. I know there's Vanessa who said, unfortunately, there's a huge electrical storm and she's going to have to disappear now. So sorry to hear that, Vanessa. But yeah, let's get going. Our first question for tonight is,